props are we looking for our Shakespeare project?
I don't know. Let's just look around and see if we can find anything.
Okay, sounds good. I'll stay here and you can go look in a different aisle if you want to.
Alright, sounds good. Whoa, Emma, how'd you get over here so fast?
What are you talking about?
I said I was gonna go to the next aisle.
No, you told me to go look for a board game.
I never told you to look for a board game. Why are you acting so weird?
What are you talking about? I'm acting weird. You're the one acting weird. You told me to come get a puzzle and quite forcefully.
I never said to come get a puzzle, and I didn't think I was being mean.
I don't really see anything here. I'm gonna go see what Reyna has found in the other aisle. Karen, I can't really find any props over there. Do you have any luck in this aisle?
What are you talking about? I thought I told you to go get a puzzle.
What? No, we were looking for just random props for our Shakespeare project.
Oh my gosh, why are you being so irritating? I just told you to go get a puzzle. Why can't you do that?
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, Reyna, for whatever I did, but I don't think I did anything wrong. I didn't remember you telling me to go get a puzzle. I'll go find one right now.
Go.
Puzzles. Whoa. Who are you?
Who are you?
I'm Emma.
You're both Emma?
What? Having this encounter with our own twins reminds us of William Shakespeare and his play, The Comedy of Errors.
So what exactly do we know about Shakespeare?
William Shakespeare is recognized by scholars to be born on April 23, 1564. There are no official documents defining the day that William Shakespeare was born. However, we do know that Shakespeare's baptism date was April 26, 1564.
A little town 103 miles west of London called Stratford, later turned to Stratford-upon-Avon, was where William was born. William Shakespeare has been given the nickname the Bard of Avon because of it. This playwright, actor, and poet happens to be the third child of a successful merchant and his wife.
William was born to John Shakespeare and Mary Arden. Originally, his father had become a merchant, and after much success, John became an alderman, a position most similar to that of a mayor today. William had two older sisters, Joan and Judith, and three younger brothers named Gilbert, Richard, and Edmund.
William Shakespeare married Anne Hathaway on November 28, 1582, in Worcester, Canterbury Province. At the time, William was only 18, while his pregnant wife was 26. The couple had their first child on May 26, 1583, and named her Suzanne. 2 years later, the couple had twins join their family. On February 2, 1585, the twins were born and named Hamnet and Judith.
The 7 years following the birth of Shakespeare's sons are often referred to as the lost years, as nothing has been recorded on his whereabouts. Starting back up again in 1594, Shakespeare became part of the Lord Chamberlain's Men's Company, and even stayed part when its name was changed to the King's Men in 1603 after the crowning of King James I.
All in all, Shakespeare wrote 37 plays in his lifetime, and many themes had been histories, tragedies, comedies, and tragic comedies. Most of Shakespeare's comedies and histories were written before the 1600s, and his darker plays such as Macbeth, Hamlet, Othello, and King Lear were written after 1600. Shakespeare later died on April 23, 1616, leaving almost everything to his eldest daughter, Suzanne.
The Comedy of Errors was first performed on December 28, 1594 in Gray's Inn. Like other playwrights and authors at the time, Shakespeare based the Comedy of Errors off of another play. Plautus's Mechaenemae was the inspiration for the comedy. Shakespeare didn't rely on rhymed couplets for this comedy. Instead, he wrote half of the play in blank verse, which was a remarkable accomplishment for the beginning playwright.
The Comedy of Errors deals with the use of mistaken identities and the confusion of twins, which was well known in the Western theater at the time. In Shakespeare's comedy, two sets of twins are separated at birth. This created more opportunity for mistakes and silliness all around. In fact, this play became so popular that Broadway's The Boys from Syracuse was written based off it in 1938 by Richard Rodgers, writer of Cinderella on Broadway, and Lauren Hartz.
All in all, The Comedy of Errors happens to be Shakespeare's shortest play, with only 1,777 lines in total. This is, of course, in comparison to only Prince Hamlet's 1,400 lines in Hamlet. The last professional well-known ensemble to perform The Comedy of Errors performed August 20th to September 1st, 2016 at the Gray's Inn. An important and interesting fact about The Comedy of Errors happens to be that Shakespeare incorporated Aristotle's unities of time, place, and action. This means that all of The Comedy of Errors happens within one day, in one location, and every incident contributes to the main plot.
In 1623, 7 years after Shakespeare's death, John Hemming and Henry Condell, two actors from the King's Company, had Shakespeare's plays published by William Jaggard and his son, Isaac. This first folio contained 36 plays and sold for £1. The Comedy of Errors was one of the 36. This version of the play probably isn't the real script written by Shakespeare, because the actors themselves would sometimes change the lines.
The Comedy of Errors starts off with Aegeon, the father of the separated twins. He is being sentenced to death in Eupheus due to the laws that prevent travel between Syracuse and Eupheus. Aegeon explains to the officer that he was searching for his son who left 7 years ago looking for his long-lost twin. Aegeon tells the officer how he got separated from his wife and his son years ago.
On a boat trip home, Aegeon's wife gave birth to their twin sons, both named Antipholus. The same time, a poor woman gave birth to another set of twins. Aegeon bought the twins as servants for his sons and named them both Dromio. During a storm, Aegeon's ship broke in half. Aegeon's wife, with Antipholus of Ephesus and Dromio of Ephesus, were saved. Aegeon, with Antipholus of Syracuse and Dromio of Syracuse, were saved by a different boat. Fast forward back to Aegeon in Ephesus. The officer gives Aegeon one day to look for his son and to gather the ransom to set him free.
The same day, Antipholus and Dromio of Syracuse arrive in Eupheus. When Dromio of Syracuse is away, Dromio of Eupheus approaches Antipholus of Syracuse. He mistakes him for Antipholus of Eupheus, telling him that he must return home. Antipholus of Syracuse is confused and refuses, sending Dromio of Eupheus away. When Dromio of Syracuse arrives back to Antipholus of Syracuse, Antipholus is still confused and confronts Dromio of Syracuse.
From Shakespeare's The Comedy of Errors, we will be performing a portion of Act 2, Scene 2.
How now, sir? Is your merry humor altered? As you love strokes, you jest with me again. You know no centaur, you received no gold. Your mistress sent to have me home to dinner. My house was at the Phoenix. Wast thou mad, that thou madly didst answer me?
What answer, sir, when spake such a word?
Even now, even here, not even half an hour since.
I have not seen you since you sent me hence, home to the centaur with the gold you gave me.
Villain, thou didst deny the gold's receipt, and then toldest me of the mistress and dinner, for which I hope thou felt'st I was displeased.
I'm glad to see you in this merry vein. What means this jest? I pray you, master, tell me.
Yeah, dost thou jeer and flout me in the teeth? Thinkest thou I jest? Hold, take thou, that, and that.
Hold, sir, for God's sake. Now your jest is earnest. Upon what bargain do you give it me?
Because that I familiar sometimes do use you for my own fool, and chat with you. Your sauciness will jest upon my love, and make a common of my serious hours. When the sun shines, let foolish gnats make sport, but creep in crannies when hides his beams. If you will jest with me, know my aspect, and fashion your demeanor to my looks, or I will beat this method in sconce.
Sconce? Call you it? So you would leave me battering? I'd rather have it ahead and use these blows long. I must get a sconce for my head and a sconce it too, or else I shall seek wit in my shoulder. But I pray, sir, why am I beaten?
Dost thou not know?
Nothing, sir, but that I am beaten.
Shall I tell you why?
Aye, sir, and wherefore, for they say every why hath a wherefore.
Why, first, for flaunting me, and then wherefore, for urging it me the second time.
Was there ever any man that's beaten out of season, when in why and wherefore is neither rhyme nor reason? Well, sir, I thank you.
Thank me, sir, for what?
Marry, sir, for the something you gave me for nothing.
I'll make you amends next to give you nothing for something. But say, sir, is it dinner time?
No, sir, I think the meat wants that I have.
In good time, sir, what's that?
Basting.
Well, sir, then it will be dry.
If it be, sir, I pray you, eat none of it.
Your reason?
Let it make you so choleric, and purchase me another dry basting.
Well, sir, learn to jest in good time. There's a time for all things.
I durst have denied that before you were so choleric.
By what rule, sir?
Marry, sir, by a rule as plain as the plain bald plate of Father Time himself.
Let's hear it.
There's no time for a man to recover his hairs that grows bald by nature.
May he not do it by fine and recovery?
Yes, to pay a fine for a periwig, and to recover his lost hairs of another man.
Why is time so niggard of hair, being, as it is, so plentiful in excrement?
Because it is a blessing he bestows on beasts, and what he hath scanted men in hair, he hath given them in wit.
Why, that there's many more hairy men than wit.
Not a man of those, but he hath the wit to lose his hair.
Why, thou didst conclude that many more hairy men, plain dealers without wit.
The plainer dealer the sooner lost, yet he loseth it in a kind of jollity.
For what reason?
For two, and sound ones too.
Nay, not sound, I pray you.
Sure ones then.
Nay, not sure in a thing falsing.
Certain ones then.
Name them.
The one to save his money that he spends in tiring, the other that at dinner time they should not drop in his porridge.
You would all this time have proved that there is no time for all things?
Marry and did, sir, namely in no time to recover hair lost by nature.
But your reason was substantial. There is no time to recover.
Thus I mend it. Time himself is bald, and therefore to the world's end will have bald followers.
I knew it would be a bald conclusion, but soft. Who wafts us yonder?
After this confusing scene between Antipholus of Syracuse and Dromio of Syracuse, Adriana, the wife of Antipholus of Ephesus, comes in. She tells Antipholus of Syracuse to come home, and Antipholus is very confused, but follows Adriana.
While that scene plays out, Antipholus of Ephesus meets with a goldsmith to make his wife a gold chain.
Antipholus of Ephesus then invites a merchant to have dinner with him. They arrive at Antipholus's house, but the gates are locked. Dromio of Syracuse is guarding the gates. Antipholus of Ephesus is very frustrated because he can't get into his own home and leaves.
At the same time, Antipholus of Syracuse has confessed his love to Adriana's sister Luciana. Luciana is very confused because she still believes Antipholus of Syracuse is Antipholus of Ephesus, her sister's husband. Luciana does not know what to say, and Antipholus of Syracuse gets upset and attempts to tell the sisters that he does not know them.
Antipholus of Syracuse then sends Dromio of Syracuse to find a boat so that they can go back home. Suddenly, the goldsmith shows up at the house with the necklace. He gives the necklace to Antipholus of Syracuse, who is confused but takes it anyways. The goldsmith tells Antipholus that he will collect the money later. Antipholus of Syracuse then leaves to find Dromio of Syracuse and the ship to take him home.
Later on, Antipholus of Ephesus spots the goldsmith in town and asks for the necklace. The goldsmith doesn't understand what is going on and asks for his money. When Antipholus of Ephesus does not give him the money, he is arrested. Dromio of Syracuse then shows up, and Antipholus of Ephesus tells him to go home and get the money for bail.
Dromio of Syracuse shows up back at the house and tells Adriana that Antipholus has been arrested and needs money for bail. Adriana then leaves in wonderment of why her husband has been arrested.
Antipholus of Syracuse finally arrives in town and attempts to find Dromio. At the same time, Dromio of Ephesus finds Antipholus of Ephesus. Antipholus of Ephesus believes he has money, but Dromio only has rope. Luciana and Adriana then arrive. Adriana asks the officer why her husband has been arrested, and he tells her about the necklace.
Back to Antipholus of Syracuse, who has met up with Dromio of Syracuse and are on their way to the boats. They run into the goldsmith, and the goldsmith asks why Antipholus has lied about not having the necklace. Antipholus of Syracuse says he hasn't lied. The goldsmith then chases Antipholus and Dromio of Syracuse away.
Eventually, all the characters run into a church where Egon is found. Egon confronts Antipholus of Ephesus that he has been searching for him. Antipholus of Ephesus is confused until Antipholus of Syracuse enters and everything is cleared up. Egon is then set free.
Some selection themes from Act 2, Scene 2 are confusion, family, mistaken identity, and expression. The overall themes from Shakespeare's The Comedy of Errors are isolation, suffering, family, appearances, identity, the supernatural, women and femininity, marriage, duty, and rules and order.